Alright, let's dive into this fantasy hitting recap, but I'm gonna do it my way, no boring play-by-play, just the juicy insights and what it all really means. Here's the deal, we're talking about players who are either breaking out, making waves, or just flat out surprising us. And trust me, there's a lot to unpack here. First up, Royce Lewis. Now, I've been keeping an eye on him, and let me tell you, this guy is a story. Personally, I think what makes Lewis so fascinating is his resilience. Here's a player who's battled injuries, knee, hamstring, you name it, and even got demoted to AAA. But since the All-Star break, he's on fire. We're talking 3 homers, 4 stolen bases, and a .872 OPS. What many people don't realize is that his 138 WRC+ isn't just a fluke, it's a testament to his ability to bounce back. If you take a step back and think about it, this guy is proving he's not just a prospect anymore, he's a legit threat. And that 104.2 miles per hour home run. That's not just power, that's a statement. In my opinion, Lewis is the kind of player who could define the Twins' season if he stays healthy. What this really suggests is that sometimes, all it takes is a little time off to reset and come back stronger. Now, let's shift gears to Kevin McGonigle. Honestly, I've been sleeping on this guy, but his performance is hard to ignore. 12 homers and 74 runs scored. That's not just good, that's elite for a leadoff hitter. What makes this really interesting is that he's doing all this while the Tigers are still building their roster. From my perspective, McGonigle is the kind of player who could thrive even more once Detroit's lineup gets deeper. One thing that immediately stands out is his ability to get on base and score runs, which is exactly what you want from a leadoff guy. What this really suggests is that he's not just a flash in the pan, he's a cornerstone for the Tigers' future. Next, Dillon Dingler. Okay, let's be real, Dillon Dingler is a name that just screams power, and he's living up to it. 26 homers as a catcher. That's insane. What many people don't realize is that he's doing this while improving his strikeout rate and maintaining a solid BOBIP. In my opinion, Dingler is one of the most underrated players in baseball right now. If you take a step back and think about it, he's not just a power hitter, he's a complete player. A detail I find fascinating is that he's tied with Shohei Ohtani in home runs. Let that sink in. This raises a deeper question, how much higher can his ceiling go? Nathaniel Lowe is another player who's caught my attention. Traded to the Guardians, and he's already making an impact. That 111.7 miles per hour homer. That's not just power, that's authority. Personally, I think Lowe is the kind of player who could be a game changer for Cleveland. What this really suggests is that sometimes, a change of scenery is all it takes to unlock a player's potential. One thing that immediately stands out is how quickly he's adapted to his new team. In my opinion, he's a sleeper pick for the second half of the season. Zach Neto is a player I've got mixed feelings about. On one hand, 20 homers and 50 RBI as a shortstop. That's impressive. But his decision value is a red flag. What makes this really interesting is that his power grades are elite, but he's still figuring things out. From my perspective, Neto is a high-risk, high-reward player. If you take a step back and think about it, he's the kind of guy who could either break out or fizzle out. What this really suggests is that his future depends on how he handles his weaknesses. Personally, I'd keep an eye on him, but I wouldn't go all in just yet. Marcus Semien is a player who's been on a downward trend, but here's the thing, I'm not ready to write him off. His BOBIP is ridiculously low, and his pitch runs value suggests he's been unlucky. What many people don't realize is that Semien has the track record to turn things around. In my opinion, this could be a classic case of positive regression. One thing that immediately stands out is his 4-to-1 BB/K ratio in August. If he keeps this up, he could be a steal for the final stretch. What this really suggests is that sometimes, all it takes is a little luck to get back on track. Andrés Giménez is a player I've always liked, but his performance against the Cubs was bittersweet. 2 stolen bases. Great. But the Jays struggles with runners in scoring position. Frustrating. What makes this really interesting is that Jimenez is doing his part, but the team's execution is letting him down. From my perspective, this is a microcosm of the Blue Jays season. Personally, I think Jimenez is a player who deserves more credit, but he's stuck in a situation where the team's flaws are overshadowing his contributions. Andrew Pinckney is the wildcard here. A 109.3 miles per hour exit velocity in his debut. That's not just impressive, that's historic. What many people don't realize is that his strikeout rate is a major concern, but if he can improve that, he could be a breakout star. In my opinion, Pinckney is the kind of player who could fly under the radar now but become a household name later. One thing that immediately stands out is his power-speed combo. What this really suggests is that he's worth monitoring, even if it's just for the potential. Finally, Yoel Pozo. This guy's story is a reminder that baseball is a grind. Claimed off waivers, battling injuries, and now getting regular playing time. That's perseverance. What makes this really interesting is that his power potential is there, but his exit velocity and barrel rate are lagging. From my perspective, Pozo is a player who could surprise us if he gets back to form. Personally, I think he's a deep league flyer at best, but his story is one to root for. So, what's the big takeaway here? Baseball is unpredictable, and these players are proving it. Whether it's Royce Lewis's resilience, Dillon Dingler's power, or Andrew Pinckney's potential, there's always something to watch for. In my opinion, the second half of the season is where legends are made, and these guys are writing their stories right now. What this really suggests is that fantasy baseball isn't just about stats, it's about narratives, potential, and the unexpected. So, who are you keeping an eye on? Let me know in the comments.